And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics, and now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday on Spreaker Radio, Roar, 1776 Radio, and MyCast Live Radio from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and also on 405 Media Radio every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific Time, in addition to countless terrestrial stations worldwide. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Podomatic, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. And you can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. Dial directly into the studio at 909-545-6516. Again, that number, 909-545-6516. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Today, my first contributor is Dr. Stephen Tidwell with his series, Tomorrow's Dentistry Today. And my second expert is going to be, it was going to be David Garrett on the law. David got caught on a mediation issue going on in Los Angeles. So filling in for him today, going to be our own Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness corner. We are going to talk about global warming and God only knows what other many things we're going to be talking about. But you know what? I can guarantee you this. Whenever Sean's on here, it's going to be interesting and it's going to be exciting. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. First up, at 3:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 103 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Now, that's down from 105 degrees. Hopefully it's going to get down quite a bit more. It'll be going down to about 70 degrees. I can't hardly wait for that because I want to tell you, it is hot outside, guys. I want to tell you that right now. But right now, I promised you news, so let's get into it. We've encapsulated this so we can hit on the 10 most important things that you need to know for today and tomorrow. And then we'll go more in depth. But your daily look at late breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today and tomorrow. First off, what happens next after McCarthy abandons the speaker seat quest? Well, the California Republicans' stunning move throws Congress's leadership more deeply into chaos. And true number of Hajj victims in Saudi Arabia. The stampede and crush last month outside the holy city of Mecca killed 1,399 people, at least 600 more people than the kingdom's official toll. And why study abroad sexual assault data is hard to tally. Federal reporting requirements for college study abroad sexual assault is murky, making it hard to get a handle on how common the problem actually is. And Volkswagen CEO apologizes again. Well, Volkswagen's top U.S. executive apologizes for a deepening emissions rigging scandal, but says the company's leaders are not to blame. Yeah, well, you know somebody's going to fall on the sword, right? And it's not going to be one of those supervising executives. And the Belarusian author wins the Nobel for Literature. With a reporter's eye and an artist's heart, Svetlana Alexievich writes of the catastrophes, upheaval, and personal woes that have afflicted the Soviet Union and troubled countries that succeeded it. And then NATO addresses the Mideast conflicts. NATO talks tough about Moscow's expanding military activity in Syria, but its sole direct response is a public pledge to help reinforce the defenses of member nation Turkey. Boy, that's going to be just a touchy, messy thing. And an agency approves the whale tanks extension. Can you guess what we're talking about? Well, the California Coastal Commission approves a $100 million expansion of the tanks that SeaWorld uses to hold killer whales in San Diego. But it also bans the park from breeding captive orcas. Well, Netflix raises their prices. Netflix is raising the price of its internet video service by $1 for new customers in the United States, Canada, and some Latin American countries to help cover escalating costs for shows such as House of Cards and other originating programs. Then, Cajun cooking loses a giant. We talked about it yesterday. Paul Prudhomme, who popularized spicy Louisiana cuisine and became one of the first American restaurant chefs to achieve worldwide fame, dies at 75. He was one of the first celebrity chefs. And then finally, the Windy City gets behind the Cubs. Well, long-suffering fans of Chicago can't help themselves now that their team is in the playoffs. They are excited about a team that hasn't won a World Series since 1908, one of the longest championship droughts in American sports history. Wow. Can you imagine? I can tell you, my son-in-law is really excited. He was raised in Chicago, is a Chicago Cubs fan, spent a couple nights ago watching this game and was really, really excited. One of his best friends was visiting out here, and I can imagine what he's going to be talking about all weekend. Well, let's get into some in-depth issues with the news. First off, the United States abandons the Pentagon's failed rebel building effort in Syria. The Obama administration is overhauling its approach to fighting the Islamic State in Syria, abandoning a failed Pentagon effort to build a new ground force of moderate rebels and instead partnering with established rebel groups, officials said today. The shift, telegraphed weeks ago by disclosures that the effort had produced only a handful of trained rebels, is meant partly to take better advantage of U.S. air power, which can play a bigger role now that Turkey is permitting American fighter jets to operate from its soil. But it is not expected to immediately give new momentum to a slow-moving, some would say stalled, American-led campaign against the Islamic State. The aim is to work with established rebel units so that over time they can make a concerted push into territory still controlled by ISIL, said Pentagon Press Secretary Peter Cook. Others said the hope is to put much more pressure on the northern city of Raqqa, the Islamic State's declared capital. Well, as I say it all the time will tell. That's the only thing you can do. And here's an analysis for you. GOP is partly desperately in search of a leader. You know, the GOP is a party in chaos, desperately in search of a leader. In the unruly United States House, Republicans enjoy a near historic majority, yet deep divisions between ultra-conservatives and more traditional GOP lawmakers have left them at a loss over who should be in charge. In the Republican presidential primary, experienced governors and senators, long the party's national leaders in waiting, I should say, are overshadowed by outsiders like Donald Trump, who only seem to get stronger as they challenge the GOP establishment. Trump even claimed he helped push California Representative Kevin McCarthy out of the race for House Speaker this week, a shocking pullback by a lawmaker seen as the heir apparent. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I want to talk to you about the divided House. Republicans see savior in Paul Ryan. We'll see what happens right after these brief messages. Do not go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. When we left, we were talking news. I told you we'd talk about the divided House. Republicans see a savior in Paul Ryan. Well, endlessly divided, House Republicans pleaded with Representative Paul Ryan today to rescue them from their damaging leadership vacuum. But the GOP's 2012 vice presidential nominee showed little appetite for the prestigious yet thankless job of Speaker of the House. The Wisconsin Republican who chairs the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee, his dream job, he's repeatedly declared refused comment again and again as reporters chased him around the Capitol a day after Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy shocked his colleagues by withdrawing from the Speaker's race moments before the vote. McCarthy's abrupt decision came just 2 weeks after the current Speaker, John Boehner of Ohio, announced his own plans to resign at month's end. Citing opposition from the small but strident bloc of hardcore conservatives who almost immediately turned on McCarthy, Boehner's number two. That left Republicans in chaos with a yawning void at the top of their leadership ladder, even as they confront enormous fiscal challenges and budgetary deadlines that could threaten a government shutdown and unprecedented default in the months to come. So, GOP lawmakers from Boehner and McCarthy on down turned to Ryan, 45 years old, the only figure in the House seen as having the stature, wide appeal, and intelligence to lead Republicans out of the mess that they're in. He'd be an amazing speaker, McCarthy declared at a bank of TV cameras after Republicans met behind closed doors to discuss their predicament. But he's got to decide. Well, he's got young kids, and this is a big job. It's going to take him away from most of the people he loves most. And it's not his colleagues in the Congress, it's his wife and kids. Well, Israel struggles to contain a wave of stabbing attacks. Unrest that erupted several weeks ago, Jerusalem's most sensitive holy site, spread today to Gaza in the form of deadly border clashes with Palestinian protesters as Israeli security forces struggled to contain a wave of Palestinian stabbing attacks against civilians and soldiers. For the first time since the current violence began, clashes broke out along the Gaza border after Palestinians in the territory ruled by the Islamic militant group Hamas rolled burning tires and threw rocks at Israeli troops on the frontier. 6 Palestinians were killed and dozens were wounded, the Palestinian Health Ministry said. The Israeli military said more than 1,000 rioters infiltrated the buffer zone, engaging the forces at the security fence. Rioters reached the security fence, hurled a grenade, rocks, and rolled burning tires at Israeli forces, threatening to breach the fence and storm the adjacent communities. It said troops fired warning shots and then fired at main instigators to prevent their advance. Recent days have seen a series of attacks by young Palestinians wielding household items like kitchen knives, screwdrivers, and even vegetable peelers. The youths had no known links to armed groups who have targeted Israeli soldiers and civilians at random, complicating security efforts. The violence included the first apparent revenge attack by an Israeli, raised fears of the unrest spiraling further out of control. What a mess the whole world is in. What a mess. Yeah. Well, 1 dead, 3 wounded in a shooting at a northern Arizona university. This just came in, folks, 2 hours ago. A northern Arizona University freshman told police he was hit in the face during a late-night confrontation and then tried to render first aid after he opened fire on 4 fraternity members, killing 1 and wounding 3, according to court documents released today. Stephen Jones, 18 years old, was found alongside the 4 victims in a campus parking lot today shortly after 1:20 a.m. That's when the shootings actually took place. Now, Jones told a responding campus police officer that he had opened fire, the arrest report said. Jones told investigators that several people approached him and 2 friends while they were outside a residence. A fight broke out between the 2 groups, and Jones said that he was hit in the face. According to the suspect, a group came out of the house and chased him. He ran to his car and retrieved a handgun. 2 of the victims had stopped following him, but turned around when he yelled that he had a gun. Jones said he shot them both, but then tried to help one of them. A friend of Jones said the first victim asked Jones why he brought the gun before the suspect shot him multiple times. Police said the second victim was shot after taking a step in Jones's direction. According to the witness, both were standing no more than 10 feet away. Yep. Great world. We don't need gun control. I'm telling you, folks, we don't need gun control. I support the Second Amendment. What we need is people control. That's the problem. And finally, you know what? Obama says Americans must come together on gun crimes. I guess the public must come together to figure out how to keep deadly mass shootings from happening, President Barack Obama said today. But he emerged from a private meeting with family of victims of last week's shooting in Oregon to declare today is about the families. Addressing reporters briefly after the approximately hour-long meeting, Obama said occasions like these always remind him that any child or parent or family member could suffer such a loss. Immediately after a gunman killed 8 students and a teacher at a community college last week, a visibly angry Obama said thoughts and prayers are no longer enough in the aftermath and that the nation's gun laws needed to be changed. He pledged to politicize the issue. But the message didn't sit well at Roseburg, where gun ownership is popular. Hundreds of supporters and protesters gathered near the local airport for Obama's arrival with signs welcoming him with and it was mixed with other advocating gun rights. Obama said the families wanted to communicate how much they appreciated the nation's help, thoughts, and prayers. I've obviously got very strong feelings about this, he said, saying that at some point the nation would have to unite to figure out how to prevent incidents like these from happening so regularly. Today, fatal school-related shootings were reported at colleges in Arizona and Texas. We're going to have to come together as a country, but today is about the families, Obama said before walking to his limo. The stop in Roseburg was a last-minute addition to a previously scheduled weekend trip by Obama to Seattle in California. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, I'm going to talk about the IRS loses. And the first case is a missed audit deadline, and I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. And you know what, this section of the show just sends chills up and down my spine. I love every part of it. And so let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. The first off, a missed audit deadline. Let me tell you about it. A company declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy but continued operating. Now, Now, it then filed a later year return making a Section 505B request under the Bankruptcy Code. Now, this required the IRS to select the return for audit within 60 days or accept it as accurate. Now, instead, after the 60 days had passed, the IRS said that $7 million more was due on it. Now, the IRS says this: the 505B request was invalid because published IRS rules required it be sent to the IRS district director, not to be filed with the return. So here's what the courts actually had to say. The IRS argument was absurd as it had earlier abolished the position of district director. So filing the request with the return was the correct action and the taxes actually lifted. Now, what's coming up next? Let me tell you. The IRS concedes a point here, and basically what they're conceding is this: bank deposits need not be reported as cash payments. Here's the thing. Businesses are required to report all cash payments larger than $10,000 to the IRS on Form 8300. That's the report of cash payments over $10,000 received in a trade or business. Here's a recent case for you. A car dealer sold cars using independent contractor salespeople. After a sale was made, the salesperson would deposit the sale proceeds in the dealer's bank account. The IRS's opinion? The receipt of the bank deposit is not a receipt of cash. Since the dealer never actually literally received cash in hand, the reporting requirement actually did not apply. I'll give you one more. The IRS loses. They cannot sue to collect tax already subject to a refund suit. Here's the case. A company failed to remit payroll taxes, and the IRS imposed personal liability for these taxes on its owners. They paid a portion of the tax, then properly sued for a refund, contesting their liability, filing their suit in Kentucky, where they actually lived. Now, the IRS then filed a separate suit in Louisiana, where the company operated, to enforce collection of the assessed tax. The owners protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. When a tax liability is being contested in a refund suit in one court, the IRS cannot file a collection action for the same tax in another court. The Louisiana suit? Can you guess? Yeah, it was dismissed exactly the way it should be. Yeah, that's the thing. So let's see here. You know what? I'm actually getting a message from our own Dr. Stephen Tidwell, and he's trying to get through, and he's having a problem. And let me just give him a message right now. And let's see if I can get this here. Okay. Now I got it there. You know what happens here is that we get so boggled up in what's going on here in the process that we sometimes don't get to the board fast enough to answer the calls that are coming through. So basically sometimes, it's my fault. I get so involved in giving these scenarios out that I don't get a chance to sometimes pay attention to everything that is transpiring. But you know what? Let's give this a try anyway before we have to go to a commercial break. And let's you know what? Matter of fact, let's talk about this. How about what goes on inside the IRS? Yeah, do you ever want to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff? Well, that's where we're at right now when we're in this section we call Inside the IRS. The IRS, tries to save money by cutting back on taxpayer service assistance. Now, here's the thing. The IRS has figured out that it costs an average of $28.73 to help each taxpayer who shows up in person at a local office to have a question answered. helping the same person via a web contact costs 13 cents, and helping a taxpayer using the automated toll-free system actually takes, let's see here, shoot, I got myself waylaid here because this phone is driving me absolutely nuts. Helping a person in the web costs 13 cents. Helping a taxpayer using the automated toll-free number costs 71 cents. Now, recently, the IRS tried to close down 68 taxpayer assistance centers because of the high costs involved. Now, congressional backlash stopped the closings. What may work to save the IRS money in the near future? The IRS is considering the development of an authentication system, much like the banks use, that would allow taxpayers to perform account-related services by logging on to its website. Now, having gotten through that and actually getting our own Dr. Tidwell on the line with us, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Dr. Tidwell about tomorrow's dentistry today. So don't go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently, wait for this, 103 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny, and I mean sunny, Southern California. Well, my good buddy, Dr. Stephen Tidwell is waiting in the wings, but before we bring him in here, I need to give him the proper introduction. So let me get this thing going, and then we'll talk about what we're going to discuss today. want to tell you what, who I consider to be the very finest dentist on the planet, our own Dr. Stephen Tidwell. He's going to be talking about tomorrow's dentistry today. But before we do that, I'm going to ask him to talk about something that's near and dear to his heart. We're going to talk about the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and they've got a big event coming up on Saturday the 17th. Hey, Steve, you sitting out there somewhere? Hey, Steve. Steve. Well, I'm not hearing you out there, Bal. You know what? Maybe what you need to do is to call back and give this thing one more try. Matter of fact, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and call you and see if that will help us out here. And let's see if I can get that ST. Let's see. I don't. But what's tough for me here is to try and get him to, because I'm trying to communicate with him at the same time as I'm talking on the phone, and I just sent him a message, so we'll see if that comes through. Hopefully, we'll get this thing. There he is. I think we got him right now. Hey, Steve, are you on the board here? Steve? Hey, Steve. Well, we're having a communication problem with Dr. Tidwell. I think he's I don't know what the problem is, and basically I'm gonna continue to try to do this thing. He's trying to call me on the wrong number, I think, and let's just see if we can't get him to call back. Let's see if I can do this. I don't understand. Sometimes we have a problem with this. Sometimes we don't have a problem with that. And I'm going to try and give him a call right now and see if this works. So hang in there. Just bear with me. And let's see. It's ringing. Hey, Steve, is that you?
Hello?
Hey, Steve, can you hear me? Steve, can you hear me?
Hello?
Steve, can you hear me? Steve? Hey, Steve? Steve, well, you know what? We're having a problem here. I don't know what the problem is, and because everything is on and everything is working, and I don't know what is actually going on here. I'm going to unplug this thing, put it back on again. It seems like I just don't have a clue what's happening here. Okay, Steve, do I have you now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know what was going on before. We just, I was talking and you weren't hearing me, and then you were talking and I wasn't hearing you. In any event, we're back and we are talking, and some kind of a glitch going on. But in any event, I have got you now, and I introduced you as my very favorite dentist on the planet. And I also said that I wanted to talk about, even though we're going to talk about tomorrow's dentistry today, I know that there's something that is near and dear to your heart, and I want to get into it a little bit. And unfortunately, I'm going to play the PSA, but you're not going to be able to hear it on your end. So before I even do that, and I'll do it when we go out for a commercial, I'd like you to talk a little bit about the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation event that's going to take place on Saturday the 17th coming up.
Well, Bob, we're all excited about this. Right now, in fact, leading into that, our Great American Elk Tour, which is a mobile display of 6 of the most amazing sets of antlers that have been taken in the last few years, is at the Bass Pro Shop right now, even as we speak, and will be through the weekend. It's kind of funny about those heads because even though they're on, stuffed animals, the antlers themselves, and at least one of the critters, and maybe more than one, are actually belong to a living animal, because an elk sheds these antlers every year, and they keep real close track on a couple of these, and they just go and pick them up and put them on the heads.
You mean the whole rack falls off?
Exactly. They're antlers as opposed to horns. And when you see an elk or a deer or a moose or a caribou, each of those animals will lose their antlers each winter, usually in late winter. And each spring they begin to regrow them so that you will see what you see is freshly grown that season.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? And especially when you think about a moose, think about how big, a large moose has been known to go over 7 feet of distance from tip to tip on those antlers, and they will weigh, a couple hundred pounds. And those are grown in a matter of a couple of very short months. And it's a hair as well. It's more closer to hair than anything else. But it begins as living tissue, and then it's calcified. And there's a lot to be said for having good minerals in the area, but that's another thing.
Well, anyway, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Our group, because the Rocky Mountain, the Great American Elk Tour is in town, we also coordinated that to be with the where your PSA is talking about at the Thornton Winery, and it'll be a week from Saturday. We're having a very exclusive by invitation only event, and I will tell you, not because I want to invite everybody. There's a few of us that are going to be able to attend it. It's a special event. But what we're trying to do is to expand the reach itself of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, where we believe that as outdoorsmen, as hunters, as people that enjoy the outdoors, that we can make a difference in conserving that wild outdoor environment by what we do with our money. And in this case, there's going to be opportunities there for people to participate in programs that we are part of. Some of them are small, some of them are very large. We've got situations where, like other conservation groups, we've made it to where people will take private land and designate it that it will not be broken up for development in future times. It'll be preserved for always. It doesn't lose. You won't lose ownership, for instance, but you're by doing the paperwork, the legalities involved in this, you can make it to where that land will not be lost for environment, for conservation, for habitat for animals and wildlife in the future.
So I have probably made a gross error here in scheduling this as a PSA, because this is a private invitation-only event, and we don't want to kind of muddy this water, do we?
Well, it won't hurt anything, because there's the phone number is there, and if someone wants to participate, they can call Mike, and he'll let them know that how they can be involved with that. And the only reason I say it's by invitation is we've sent out a certain number of invitations, and we only have 50 slots, and we're pretty sure that those are going to fill up. But if somebody calls and they beat the other people in, I'm all for it. So it's going to be an amazing event just from the standpoint of where it is. You've been there before. I think the first time I ever went to Thornton Winery was to participate in an event that you were sponsoring, as I recall.
Absolutely. My daughter got married there, and it was a big event. And but you know what? I think it doesn't do any harm. People, if they want to learn how they can support this foundation, calling Mike Orton at his number is not a bad idea. I've already got this.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and let that thing run today the way I was going to, and then what the heck? It's only a week away anyhow.
Exactly right. So I would be thrilled to have someone who called, and because we have many opportunities in ways that you can participate, and this is just one of them. So and we are looking always for people that are willing to do a little more than either, or give them a choice. Let's just put it that way. They can either work with their checkbook or work with their feet, because we have lots of opportunities for people to be involved with different projects and activities that we sponsor and that we're involved with. Everything from banquets and fundraising to going out in the wild and rolling up barbed wire in the wilderness that has been left as endangered animals.
So what is the primary function of the foundation?
Well, first of all, the biggest thing that I wanted to throw out there first is that there's been a lot of backlash. I've heard about it on the radio lately about how so many nonprofits, your dollar just doesn't go very far. You know, you get a dollar and you're lucky to get 50 cents of it going towards where you thought it would go. We're proud to say that it's 90 cents of every dollar goes to our projects, goes strictly to the environment and the conservation movement. It's only a 10% administrative cost. We have a large volume of volunteers that really do the work. So, and if you look us up on all the charity rating things, we're way, way up there. We're in the top ratings.
So is the foundation, is it conserving elk because they're an endangered species, or is it controlling the growth of elk, or what precisely is it actually doing?
Well, it's primarily it's enhancing the environment to promote the elk. And what we're saying here is that we're trying to limit the uncontrolled encroachment of man upon the environment that would affect the elk specifically. But I mean, obviously, elk live in a very varied and extensive ecosystem that has many, many parts. So if we're helping the elk environment, we're also helping everything from birds and fish to wolves and bears. It's all there.
Sure.
So we're just trying to do the same sort of thing that the government does by making national parks and all this sort of thing, but without the limitations that the government does. And we're waiting for Uncle Sam to do it for us. We're doing it ourselves.
And then, you know what? And that's to be applauded. Now, hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to talk some more to our own Dr. Stephen Tidwell about tomorrow's Dentistry Today. Of course, I'm sure they all have teeth too. But when we come back, I think that he'll probably talk about maybe just in that conversation and move on to something that's a little more technologically informative. So don't go away. We'll be right back with our own Dr. Stephen Tidwell and tomorrow's Dentistry Today. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go away.
The Great Elk Tour, a collection of some of the greatest bull elk trophies recently assembled, will highlight a special Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation event Saturday, October 17th at 4 p.m. at the beautiful Thornton Winery in Temecula, California. I'm Robert Cardoza, and I want to invite you to this very exclusive event where Editor-in-Chief of Sports Afield magazine, Diana Rupp, will be the featured speaker with a presentation of her hunting experiences both here and abroad. While not a traditional banquet, the master chefs at Thornton will offer a fantastic selection of hors d'oeuvres to accompany a hosted bar. Seating is limited to advance sales for this exclusive program, introducing the RMEF Habitat Partners Program. This program will seek to broaden awareness for opportunities to further the conservation effort of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. For questions and ticket information, call Mike Orton at 909-498-6660. Again, that number is 909-498-6660. We look forward to seeing you there. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And Let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to my good buddy, Dr. Stephen Tidwell with Tomorrow's Dentistry Today. He just got done talking about the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and what was going on there. I don't know if you finished with that, Steve. If you didn't, you're welcome to go ahead and put a cap on it, and then let's move on to something that's technologically advanced. Steve? Hey, Steve, you there? I don't believe it. We lost him again? Stephen Tidwell, you there? Oh, looks like we lost Steve.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me now?
I hear you very well. There you go.
What happened? I lost you.
It's funny that you should say, you can put a cap on it, and you're talking to the dentist, with his new machine that makes caps in an hour, But I did want to finish up one little thought. You left when you said, I guess elk have teeth as well, and it sparked an idea in me that not only do elk have teeth, but they actually have ivory.
They have what?
Ivory.
Oh, really?
Yes. Elk, both male and female, have a very large ivory. You can call it a tusk. I mean, a tusk is basically a tooth anyway. But they have one tooth that is a little bit larger, and it actually is very popular for everything from tie clasps and cufflinks. I've seen it used as necklaces and I believe even earrings. It polishes up real nice. It has that. It has a little more of an aged ivory look, a little yellowish, but it's pretty spectacular. And I have to say that the elk that we've been fortunate enough to harvest have all contributed ivory to our collection.
Wow, that'd be, I'm going to be interested in seeing that. I didn't realize that, but I guess you're right. I mean, teeth are ivory. But is it the same kind of a quality of ivory that you would get from an elephant tusk?
Oh yeah. It's just nearly as big, obviously. And, but it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't. It was funny. I hadn't realized that myself until I became an elk hunter, and I realized that we could actually find ivory in each of the animals. It was pretty amazing. So yeah, just a little side.
Let me ask you this. Are elk larger than, smaller than, or about the same size as deer are?
Well, the progression is like this. Deer, a very large deer, whether it's a whitetail or a mule deer, will go and, if you get something close to 300 pounds, let alone above, that's considered to be a large animal as far as deer go. Mm-hmm. And there's species that will barely reach 100 pounds. So then you move on to an elk, and elk will go. I've seen elk go over 1,000 pounds.
Holy cow! 3 times? Over 3 times?
Yeah, they're a big bull. Is like that. Now, an average cow, a good sized cow, 400 or 500 pounds, standing there. And an average bull, an average mature bull is going to be 600 to 800 pounds. So
if you're hunting for not just the sport of it, but for the meat from it, what is the preference, the cow or the bull?
I don't recall ever having any bad elk meat. So much of the stigma that you get for venison in general, whether it's deer, elk, or whatever else, unfortunately, it's because many of the hunters really don't know how to take care of the animal properly the moment that you've actually got him on the ground. Mm-hmm. And I'm very fortunate that one of my hunting buddies is a retired meat cutter working for years in a meat packing plant. And what he has taught my family and many other people as well, because he, for years, ran a little deal where you would bring the wild game in and he would process it for a fee. Mm-hmm. And he taught so many people, including my family, how to take such good care of the meat that, first of all, our losses, even with a gunshot wound, for instance, have been minimized so much, and the quality of the meat, everybody that has had elk at my table goes like, wow, this is really good.
So it's indiscernible with regard to the tenderness and flavor of the meat, whether or not it's a cow or a bull?
You're going to have, we find that the biggest thing is, it's a free-range animal. You're not getting any supplements, you're not getting any of that. And so as a result, generally, they aren't nearly as fat, marbled, if you will, as you're going to find with beef or many of the domestic animals.
So it's a lean meat.
Very lean. It's extremely lean. You put an elk burger on the grill in the frying pan, it's going to be the same size when you take it off as when you put it on. There's just no shrinkage because there's hardly any fat. There's enough to hold it together, if you just barely. But a lot of people will actually even incorporate a little beef fat to give it a little more, flavoring and juiciness. But I don't think it's necessary. Personally, I always said that an elk burger is kind of like somebody took a hamburger and God seasoned it just right.
Okay, because that was what I was going to ask you. Do you actually have to over-season it to get flavor other than the natural flavor of the elk itself? But apparently, no.
I'll have to bring you some, Bob. I've still got a little bit in the freezer. We'll have to, when we get together, I'll have to bring you some elk burger, and you guys can try that. You'll be amazed. It's in all the ways that you would have normally burger, and without the guilt. The nice thing about it is that you're not going to pump up your cholesterol or anything like that. It's just tasty and it's super lean, unbelievably lean.
Wow, sounds great. So if you kill either a bull or a cow, is that more meat than you can use in a year? I know, I was raised on a dairy, Steve, and we used to prepare our own meat from old non-producing cattle. And when you would actually process a cow, you had enough meat for an entire year. Is it the same thing with an elk?
Well, you process a large beef, and that's going to be, you're looking at usually something around the neighborhood of 700 or 800 pounds on the hoof. Mm-hmm. And so, we usually we'll have something in 400 or 500 pound range. So, and we're going to end up with a proportional amount of meat. Mm-hmm. Of course, it depends on your animal, but you figure that about half of the body weight is going to be usable meat. And we are I'm so blessed to have Daryl along with us, our meat cutter, because he will clean that carcass up, that skeleton up so much that I've had the magpies come by and they just kind of look at us and go like, well,
what about us, guys?
Yeah, actually, I thought they were doing some of those Italian. You better not say that symbols. They were flipping us their wing. So they were pretty mad at us because we just weren't leaving anything left. It was we take it real serious about that.
So, you know what? I mean, it sounds interesting. Now, when you go elk hunting, the elk obviously aren't everywhere. When you go to Utah, where do you go when you go elk hunting?
I grew up in Idaho, Bob, mm-hmm. and my family's still up there. And for us, the hunting is number one, a social thing. It gets an opportunity for my sister, my brother, my brother-in-law, and many times my dad will pop in, even though he's 88, he's not getting out and about anymore, but he likes to still come up and hang out with us. And either one or both of my brothers will come up. And it gives us a great time of family to where we can, sit around the table and tell hunting stories or what all's going on in our lives, because we all live in sort of separated geographically. And then we get to go out into the nature